Hello everybody, it's Tanya Williams here from A Childfree Happily Ever After and founder of the Childfree Choices program. Now, I am very lucky to be talking to Jane Curnow today about her journey, I suppose you'd call it. Now, Jane is child-free by circumstance, and as you know, what I'm trying to bring to this whole conversation is to share stories of women from all different circumstances. And Jane has very bravely opted to join in the conversation and share her story, which is very unique. And I think she has some really great insights to bring in and share with you that I'd really love you to listen to and take on board. So Jane, thank you.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure to be here, Tanya. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Not a problem. Can you just give everybody a bit of an intro from yourself and just give them an idea of where you're at now, I suppose, what your circumstances are, and then we'll jump into some questions.
Sure. So my history is 25 years of depression, clinical depression diagnosed at 32, addiction, substance abuse, eating disorders, 2 attempts on my life, 3 hospitalisations. I've been in some pretty shocking places in my life. And relevant to this topic, one of my attempts on my life was due to this topic, so I'm happy to share that. But now I am fully recovered and I'm so excited to be alive even. I'm very privileged to be here. So most of my trauma was up until my mid-40s. I'm now 52 and a fitness model and absolutely bursting with energy, health and loving my life.
And
so
we can tell that just by looking at you. You're I love that.
Yeah, I've got so much energy and so much passion for life now, but that's just such a sharp contrast. And I think that's what happens when you suffer to such a degree. If you are lucky enough to get through like me, you experience the polar opposite, and I'm very privileged. So hopefully I can inspire and motivate and help other women who have been in the situation or are in the situation that I have.
Great. I mean, I think it's really important to have these conversations because I think too much of what we go through in life is hidden. We're afraid to share it for many reasons. We may be ashamed, we may feel bad, we may be sad, like maybe we don't know how to process those emotions. And I think regardless of where we are in our lives, having these conversations is so important so other women can see what life is actually like sometimes. It's not all flowers and rainbows and sometimes how we like to make it out to be.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of women deserve Academy Awards because too many of us walk around with these issues and we put on a facade to the world and, because we can't talk about it. I know when I was suffering that, we didn't even have social media, so I couldn't even be in contact with a lot of people like you can today. Yeah. But it's still, you feel ashamed and embarrassed. So it's, the more people we speak up, the more women will come out and seek help, which is what it's all about.
Thank you. So I'd love to start, I suppose, back at the start. Now you've mentioned, you've been through so much. When did let's start with you're child-free, but you did at one stage try and have a baby. You've tried that a couple of times. What led you to that place, I suppose? Maybe sort of start out a little bit talking about you were diagnosed with depression, relatively young. Obviously you were going through that. What was your situation at the time when you decided, look, I want to have a child?
So my second marriage broke down at 32, which was the catalyst for my diagnosis with clinical depression, but I'd always suffered to some degree, but that's when I got the official label and I got worse. I think once you engage with the medical profession with a mental illness, was I mentally ill? I don't know, but that's what you're labelled at. At 32, I still thought I had time, but as my 30s went on, I began to feel more and more pressure. That biological clock was ticking in my ears so loudly that I wasn't sleeping at night. And I wasn't managing to secure a relationship, and I was desperately single. And I felt pressure, even though I wasn't even that maternal. When I look back, I just felt extreme pressure to do life in the right order. And I felt like I was a misfit because I wasn't married, had the house, a child, and everything tucked away by 40, and you live happily ever after. But
where did that pressure come from? Do you think it was socially? Was it from friends? Was it from family? Or was it internal?
All of the above. I felt the pressure not that my family were pressuring me that much, but there are comments. There are always comments.
Little comments that are made,
Yeah. So, oh, you haven't found anyone yet. Oh, how old are you? You know, those sort of comments that you just take on board. Society, the media, friends all settling down, and you're feeling, I lost a lot of my friends because I had nothing in common with them. And I just, as my 30s went on, I became worse. And this was, you know, there's many factors to my depression, but this was a major part. I felt like my life was slipping away and I was old. Oh my God, I'm 40 and I don't have a husband, a children, house. Oh my God, I'm a failure. I felt like a complete failure. So at 41, I decided to try on my own. Okay, well, in this day and age, it's no problem. My mother wasn't keen on it, but I didn't have any options left, and I felt that I could not live without a child. I could not see life without having a child, despite not being maternal, which is really odd. The pressure was that intense for me. But, you know, I was already depressed and unhappy, very low self-worth and all that sort of stuff as well. So this just compounded it. 41, I decided, okay, and I actually had a girlfriend that said to me, Jane, who was single and had a toddler, said, Jane, let's do donor sperm and come and live with me and we'll raise our children together. And I'm like, that sounds like an awesome opportunity. Here I am, okay, I don't need a man. I can do it with my girlfriend. And, you know, we're both heterosexual. There was nothing there.
Yeah.
But, you know, like sister. I felt like she was my sister. We've been friends for many, many, many years, and I really liked her daughter. So I undertook IVF, 4 cycles, 3 fresh and 1 frozen. And at 41, you know, I didn't realise, I think that was another thing that is more available today. But back then, I thought, I didn't even know that our fertility would decrease such an extent at 38. Did you see women in the media, 50, having children, but you don't know the details. It's often not even their eggs, but you don't know that. You just see this. So, and you think I think a lot of women think they're just their God-given right that, you know, we are a woman, we can have children. And I think if you can't, you feel odd, a misfit. So at 41, I still didn't think that it was a big deal. Of course I can have children. The doctor was like, no, Jane. And when I went to see him, I was expecting, I'll book it in about 6 months. And he's like, next week. And I'm like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden I go into this panic stations and go into the whole IVF world that is so intense.
Yeah, I've heard that about IVF, yeah.
Oh, and because of my age, they pump so many hormones into you.
Much education around that in terms of what to expect, and this is how you're going to feel and what it's going to be like, or is it sort of like, bang, here you go, and you're going to try and navigate your way through that? Because it's emotional enough and hard enough as it is.
Exactly. And look, I think it might be different these days. It's not that long ago, really. It's only 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But I think it depends on the clinic, maybe as well, or maybe the information was there, but I wasn't paying attention, which is likely as well. But I did walk into it completely blind. Managed to get over the whole injecting yourself thing, and every fresh cycle, I fell pregnant for a couple of weeks and then lost it, which is very hard to deal with on your own. I think it's hard to deal with regardless, but I'm doing it here on my own. The girlfriend that was offering to help me was in Brisbane and I was in Sydney. So we weren't even together while I was going through it. Actually,
that's a lot to deal with by yourself. It really is.
I completely underestimated the whole thing. So the 4th cycle was the frozen cycle, and of course the odds are far less on a frozen cycle, but they also pump even more hormones into you for a frozen cycle. And I could feel myself, and I can remember joining some forums online and saying, I'm so depressed, should I be doing this? I just, I was already depressed, but this was just the hormones that was making me worse, and I was feeling suicidal as I was doing it. The results were look, it was going to be negative given my state of mind. And of course, the frozen cycle I didn't even conceive to start with. And I decided that was it. I wanted to end my life. So that the catalyst was the final IVF cycle. But I still planned to do, well, obviously I froze embryos. So, but I was in such a state over this final cycle. I did have a sort of boyfriend around at the time who was not good for my mental health. And I was on my own on the night that I got this news, and I had plenty of medication available. Yep, and alcohol, and yep, that was a serious attempt. The previous attempt was not obviously related to children. It was 35. I just wanted to sleep for a while on that attempt. This was full on. I wanted out. I'd written, letters. I was going. Obviously, I failed. Thank God.
Yeah, thank God for that.
Yeah, because obviously, I wasn't maternal. So what was I thinking? Yeah. I just felt so much pressure. I didn't know who I was. But now with the life that I've got today, it's so clear to me that it wasn't supposed to be. But at the time, clearly it was.
It sounded like it was all consuming, like you just lived and you were obsessed with it to a certain degree.
Yeah, and I don't know how I managed to still work, but I did obviously to fund it because it's not cheap. Yeah. It's just, you're in a bubble and you just can't see past conceiving. That's your whole focus. So
you've gone through something that is really emotional and traumatic to start with. You've gone through all these cycles of IVF. You've tried to end your life because of it. What happened at that point? How did you get out of that fog? How did you then go, hang on, something's all right, like, hang on, I've got a second chance here. What was the next thing for you?
I didn't see it as a second chance at the time. So I was pulled out of it by a good friend who found me. Wow. And he nursed me for a number of weeks after it. His friendship at the time is what allowed me to continue on living, but I always planned to do it again.
Really?
Oh yes. I was never going to see 50. I was just waiting for the courage, an opportunity, a pain-free way of doing it. I'd Google it and research it. This is insane. I can't believe I did this, but, so after he nursed me through and got me back to a more physical health as far as functioning, but I went into my more serious years of partying really hard. So we're talking out, drunk, stoned most nights of the week. Definitely Thursday, Friday, Saturday, out to the wee hours. So I was constantly chasing any substance that would dull my emotional pain. I would function enough to work, obviously, to fund this lifestyle.
It was like a numbing effect, really. So you just want to be numb so you don't feel anything.
Yeah. So the only time I could sort of, be conscious was when I was at work because I needed to earn money. But as soon as I left work, it was, how do I sleep? How do I escape myself? How do I run away from the enemy in my head? I can't stand myself. I can't stand my life. There is no point in living without a husband or a child. And I was just biding time, really.
So when was that point that all changed for you then? Was there something that actually happened, or did it happen at the time?
Yeah. Absolutely. So many addictions, but one of them was I was obsessed with my appearance. Oh my God, the money I've spent on Botox and I had to keep my appearance. So aging was terrifying for me. Also being slim. Everyone used to say to me, Jane, you're so attractive. You've got everything going for you. Oh, so that's the ticket to a dream life is the way I look. Mm. So I held on to it for dear life because that's all I had, apparently. Even down to the paramedics that found me or came to take me to hospital, I was sort of in and out of consciousness. One of them said, oh, she's so pretty. What a waste. And I heard this and I remembered it. I'm like, is this what society is all about? When you have the socially acceptable exterior, you have the dream life. And this is what I preach a lot now, that, yeah, I might have the body, but that means nothing if you don't love yourself. My journey continues with the same theme. So at 45 is when it all changed. At 45, so one of my addictions was cardio group exercise to stay thin. So despite all my partying and drugs and alcohol, I was at the gym 4 or 5 times a week.
Wow, I'm surprised you could even function.
I know. Jumping up and down like a crazy woman. I don't know. But I'm not fueled by health. I'm fueled by punishment. I'm fueled by hating myself. I'm fueled by I've got to burn off all the binge eating and drinking from the weekend So that was why I had the binge starve cycle. So I was binging on the weekend with food and alcohol through the
yeah.
I was starving myself, training like an idiot, and taking painkillers.
So everything was extreme. Like everything was extreme.
Everything. Yeah. So jumping up and down like a crazy woman for 20 odd years, you're going to get an injury. Your body's just going to say no. Nah. Plus, I was wearing high heels like this for 10 hours a day and partying all night, and I'd wake up the next morning not with a throbbing head but with throbbing feet because I'd been high heels. So I got an injury that saw me having to give up cardio group exercise. Basically, I could not jump up and down anymore. I was 45 years old. And my physio had to literally drag me by the hair from the group exercise room into the weights room. And I was quite ignorant back then, and I think a lot of women think that you can only lose weight by cardio. Weightlifting is, and plus you get big and bulky, don't you? It's all a myth, and I was, scared of the weights room, but that was the only exercise left available to me. And my reaction to this was that of an addict, because I was addicted to cardio group exercise, like I was addicted to so many other things that weren't healthy. Yeah. And it wasn't a healthy exercise. So I started weightlifting for the first time. And it wasn't long before I realised that weightlifting is what fitness models do. Oh my God. I can get on stage, then I'll finally be happy. I'll get the perfect body, and then my dream life will just fall into my lap. So I've thrown myself into this new bodybuilding regime, which is extreme. And if you're going to compete, it's like my old lifestyle had to go. Like I couldn't be out drinking drugs, skipping meals. Like it is healthy, but obviously getting on stage.
It's a whole lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I've just like IVF, I've gone into this naive, blinded by my own low self-worth. And I've realised after I've committed, I've joined this new gym, I've paid a lot of money. I've realised that, oh my God, Jane, you've committed to get up on stage and you are depressed, you are shy, where are you going to find the confidence to strut around on stage? Are you an idiot? And of course, all my new friends at the gym and my awesome new trainer didn't know I was suffering from depression. I was suicidal in leading up to my first comp, because obviously that's another extreme of starvation and deprivation to get to stage. But I had to get up on stage. So I started doing all these mind techniques that over the years from my depression, I'd seen therapists and counsellors, but I'd also seen healers, and I'd tried everything to resolve my misery. And I'd heard about all these hooey crap. I'm not doing that. Doesn't apply to me. That's not going to help me. I could meditate. I'm not doing that. When you're depressed, you don't want to sit with yourself.
Yeah, well, it's all about escaping yourself, isn't it?
Exactly.
Too much, yeah.
But I'd heard that it would help my depression. I'm like, no, that doesn't apply to me. But here I am committing to get up on stage. I would do anything, because this was my ticket to my dream life. So I've started meditating, affirmations, visualizations, mindfulness, all the stuff that I now teach and coach people on. I dismiss, but I had to get up on stage. I even engaged with a hypnotist because I wanted to be hypnotized on stage. But hypnotism is just going into meditation, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I undertook all these mindset techniques with my only motivation was to get up on stage. I was not thinking about curing my depression or improving myself in any way. It was purely driven by vanity. Got to stage, oh my God, got there. The next day I wake up, where's my dream life? I've done it. Of course, nothing happened. And I've gone into depression again after my first competition. This is 2013 now, I'm 46 now. I've decided to compete again because I didn't place in my first competition. My trainer, who's completely oblivious to all my emotional issues, I don't like everywhere in my life, I hit it very well. Decided to compete in that year. So I've had to continue with that technique. So by the time I get on stage in October 2013, I've been doing these mindset techniques now for 10 months. For all the wrong reasons, but they were changing my mindset. Little did I know that I was on the road to recovering fully from depression, which is so ironic because I did it all for the wrong reasons. So I competed in 2013 for the second time. Obviously, I'm in a better frame of mind. I don't plunge into depression this time. 2013 to 2016, I call my recovery years. In that time, I had a few non-fitness challenges. I've continued bodybuilding. I've continued weightlifting. 2016, I'm turning 50. And given my history of wanting to die for my 50th, 12 months before, I've said to my trainer, what do you think about me getting back up on stage for my 50th and going up a division to not the bikini, but figure, which is a division up where you've built a bit of muscle? And he goes, let's do it. So I turned 50 on the 1st of September. I was on stage 2 weeks later. I celebrated my 50th on stage. And it wasn't until after that event that I looked back on 2016, which was the year I published my book. It was also the year that I put down my 20-year-old best friend, feline best friend, my cat that I had through all depression years. And I got through that event. I thought I was going to try again when she died. Got through that event, got through some financial difficulties, and I look back and I'm like, I'm fully recovered. I am never going back to those places ever again. And it's all through bodybuilding, but it was all for the wrong reasons that I started down this path. And I'm still a fitness model. You too?
I think what's really interesting, and you've said it in your story, and particularly through that recovery, is so much of it was mindset. And
yes, absolutely.
Time, but that having that mindset, which was gradually changing, you were slowly training your mind, not just your body, not even realizing it, to now start to think differently. And I mean, that's just amazing, because
I know
the fact that you're even here after all that behaviour is just amazing to start.
I know. And this is the power of my mindset and my healthy lifestyle now. I've reversed all that damage that I've done. Think about that damage I've done for years with drugs and alcohol and abuse. I've recovered from osteoarthritis. I was told I needed knee surgery. No. I was told I'd never lift again. No. Yeah. All these things, my body is in premium condition now, because not only am I feeding my body, obviously, premium food, nourishing my body and loving my body, and respecting it like I never have before, but it's the mind. It's my mindset. It's all the techniques that I continue doing today, and why I'm a mindset coach is because it's so powerful, and it doesn't come with an instruction manual. You know, you're not taught how to use this. And if I'd known, would I have gotten that situation with children, with depression, with attempts on my life? No. But we're not taught this stuff in school, and that's why I now coach.
No, exactly.
And how to do it.
So
yeah.
Talking about mindset, obviously you've gone from wanting to have kids, as you said, because that was what was probably expected. That was what you'd always sort of thought you would do. And there's been this pressure and expectation to do that, to not being able to have them. As you got older, how did you manage that? And obviously your mindset was obviously improving through everything that you were doing. How did you sort of get over that mentally, in terms of coping with the fact that you weren't going to be a mother and that this wasn't going to happen for you?
I think getting with the goal to get the perfect body on stage, that sort of replaced it, because I felt that achieving that would make me happy.
So it was changing that goal, so to speak. Well, my goal is,
yeah,
I've just changed that to something else, rather than being, I suppose, obsessed to a certain degree of, no, I have to do this one particular thing, which didn't become a reality.
Well, I think the years between sort of 41 and 45, I was numbing myself to such a degree, which was the years that, you know, I wasn't facing up to the fact that I'd missed out. I was just doing all I could to avoid thinking about it, and acting in a way, I guess, that younger people do, going out drinking, and, you know, that's almost acceptable in your 20s, but when you're 44, and I was blessed with, you know, the slim figure and the looks, I could sort of get away with it. But I wasn't accepting it. I was running away from it. I wasn't dealing with it. That's how I was dealing with it. And then the new opportunity to go down the bodybuilding path, I guess, was the point where I could try something different. I had another goal in life. You're right. Yeah. I sort of shifted from the partying aspect of numbing it into a new goal. But also too, I think now I realise, because I put my 20-year-old cat down. I've got 2 now. So I'm a fur mother. My children have fur, and I'm very passionate.
Nothing wrong with that.
No. And look, people say to me, oh, you're a crazy cat lady. Yep, proud to be. I don't care what you think. They are my children. And, you know, it may not be the same as your children, but they're just as important to me.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. Family is what you want it to be and what you make it be.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be 2.5 kids. It can be, you know, it can be 2 cats. Like, you know, don't
exactly.
apologize.
And I think that's another point too. My family have let me down throughout all my years. I don't have.
That's actually going to be my next question. Like, how have your family been through this situation? Have they supported you, or have they still been, oh, but you should have had kids, you should have done this? Was there?
Well, so that's
judgment?
This is the other interesting part about my journey. Probably why I've got to this stage is I didn't have family support. I did when I was trying to have children because mum was reserved, but dad was very supportive because they wanted me to have children because I believed that that's what I wanted. Yeah. But then when I failed that and went into that party lifestyle, I sort of lost contact because I became such a different person that they couldn't relate to that lifestyle. I can understand. But mum passed in 2010, so suddenly. So that was a pretty devastating for me to go through, although I wasn't that close to her. But, you know, losing your mum is...
It's always going to be hard, regardless of how close you are.
But then the big thing, I think, and why I talk about family doesn't have to be blood. It can be animals, it can be friends, it can be, you know... I had to turn my back on the remaining family that I had left was my father and my brother. Starting down the bodybuilding road, my father could not accept it. Or that side of the family couldn't accept it. I think bodybuilding is, even though Arnold Schwarzenegger has sort of, you know, brought it out a bit more into the mainstream, I almost had to say to my father, I'm keeping my clothes on, Dad. Like, I'm not taking my bikini off.
Yeah.
Different generation. But as I started to recover, I could see the toxicity of my family influence. So I haven't spoken to my family now for 3 years, and it's really no coincidence that I've recovered in those years. I'm a completely different person. Yeah. So when you behaved a certain way for 45 years and you change, some people will fall away. And if it's family, well, so be it. But I am so passionate about protecting my mental health now. And I can, as soon as I see that someone might be threatening it, because I'm still vulnerable, I've still got to be careful.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, sorry, you're gone. I can't, I'm very happy on my own for the first time in my life. I'm not going to, you know, allow anything to change that. So family has not been supportive of my bodybuilding journey or my journey of recovery. I don't even know if they know that I have declared myself fully recovered. So, but I've never been happier. I'm so happy with my life. And look, I work, you know, every day. But because I'm helping people, it doesn't feel like work. I still do part-time corporate as well. So I'm very busy, but I'm happy. So
you know it's all about your own happiness. Like, I think
exactly.
I talk a lot, and the whole reason that I wrote the book was to give that message of it's about choices. We make choices in life, whether that's to have kids, not have kids, and everything else we do in life is a choice. And I think you should have, and you should expect the people around you to be supportive and accepting of your decisions, and not have that judgment and the criticism and so forth. And it's really sad to hear that you didn't have the support you needed to get through that. So
it is sad, but you know, it's just the way it was supposed to. And I've done a lot of forgiveness work, and I think that's the other point I just want to make on that. If anyone else is experiencing the same challenges, I've done a lot of remote forgiveness work. Forgiveness is not about, you know, looking at that person saying, I forgive you. It's about, it's an internal thing within yourself to just accept that I have compassion for my father and brother now. And, you know, we're just on different journeys in this lifetime, and we may come back together in this lifetime, we may not, but I'm at peace with that, and I hope they are too. I've just, you know, awakened, enlightened. I see probably why I have so much enthusiasm for life, because I feel reborn. I really feel like I'm living my life again, like I'm in a parallel universe. And I've been lucky enough to be enlightened in this lifetime. Many people won't be, and that's fine. That's their journey.
Yeah.
It's just acceptance and, and finding happiness and family through other means is absolutely fine. I think we, as a society, we're so hung up on, family's blood, you've got to be loyal. Well, if it's damaging your self-worth, it's not worth it.
Well, I think what you just said there as well is that happiness comes in different forms sometimes to what we expect it to look like.
Exactly.
So I think when you were talking about your journey before, you expected your life to look like a certain way by the time you hit 40, and it didn't. And I think there's too much pressure on women, or just people, not just women. There's too much pressure to go, well, this is where you should be at this age, and this is where you should be at that age. And it's like, well, no, it's different for everybody. And then if you don't achieve that, you feel bad because this person's got it and that person has, but you haven't. And that can become really hard to deal with, especially if you don't have that support around.
Absolutely. And the same thing for, 50. I celebrated my 50th on stage. How many women think at 50 they're old? That's it. Life's over. Here I am sitting around a bikini. I will defy any social norm, and I hope that I set an example that you can achieve anything. Age, that's one of my taglines. Age is no barrier. Age is no barrier to your dreams.
Yeah.
And, you just got to hire the right coaches to achieve your dreams. You can achieve anything if you surround yourself with the right people.
Is mindset.
Absolutely.
To Marsha Drew Davis this morning, who is just an absolute trailblazer in this area. She's an author. She's done all sorts of amazing things. She's in her mid-70s, and oh my God, she is the spunkiest, high energy, amazing woman. And for someone her age, so many people when they get to their age, they're like, oh, I'm retired, and they, it's all about waiting to die. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
Crazy. I was like, if I'm like you and I'm 74, oh my God, I will be so happy. She was just this bundle of energy and joy.
That'll be me.
Exactly. Age is just a number. It means absolutely nothing.
That's right.
I think we get too caught up on that to a certain degree.
Absolutely. And I get that lecture from my coaches all the time. Jane, you're too hung up on it doesn't matter what, I'm hung up on the numbers that I'm lifting. We're always whatever number on the scale, the number your age, whatever it is, we're all hung up on some sort of number. But age is something. My next competition will be for my 60th. That's when I will compete again.
Awesome.
I'm doing photo shoots. I'm doing one in December this year. So I do photo shoots every 18 months or so, but I'll get back on stage again for my 60th, because by then I'll be proving again to the world that age is nothing.
Yeah.
We're conditioned. If you believe that to be what it's going to be for you at 50, that's what it will be.
Yeah,
but talk to somebody else.
Exactly.
Talk to me, and my reality is completely different. But there's no reason why you can't do that. No reason.
Exactly. If you want to do something, you set your mind to it and you do it. So in regards to, I want to come back to, I suppose, you accepting your decision that you weren't going to have children and so forth. What advice would you give to another woman who's maybe going through this now, because I know some women get really obsessed with it and they live and they breathe it, and it's all consuming for them. If someone's going through that and they're not having the results that they want, what would be your advice, having gone through it yourself?
My first advice would be to get a mindset coach, because you can achieve anything, including conceiving children, if you have the right mindset. And I was only watching Marissa Peer. I don't know if you've heard of her. She's a very famous UK, she isn't a hypnotist, but she's known as the one-session hypnotist. And I didn't realise that she was told that she couldn't have children, and she just worked on her mindset and she conceived. So absolutely, and because I'm so passionate about having coaches, I have 3 at the moment, and I will always have coaches because they facilitate my dream life. They teach me what I need to know and support me, keep me accountable and push me, and change my mindset. And even if you don't conceive for whatever reason, you're going to have the coach there to find your passion, to find another
way of fulfillment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I'd known what I'd known now, I would have hired a coach to help me to get pregnant probably. But failing that, I would have found my purpose in life a lot sooner. I mean, I'm a late bloomer. I didn't find my passion, obviously, it's bodybuilding till 45. I think a lot of women stumble through life not knowing what their passion is, and that's really sad that it's not taught in school. But worse, some women know what it is and they bury it for the sake of family. But finding your passion will ensure that even if you don't achieve your goal of having children, you've got something else in life that gives your life meaning. I
think there's so many facets to being a woman, and a mum is just one of them. So that
absolutely
can be that you wear. And I know women who are mums that have their own business and they have, you know, various goals and so forth that they have. But I think there are just so many parts to being a woman, and motherhood is just one part of that. So, and I understand how disappointing it would be and how heartbreaking it would be if you can't have that in your life and if that's something you really want. But I think, as you said, like focusing on the positive and what you do have, and that you can still be involved in children's lives, and you can still have children around.
You can still adopt. There's plenty of
there are options. You can mentor children. You can do all sorts of things.
Yeah.
That it's obviously it's not the same, but there are other ways to bring that joy into
and in this day and age, like I think my mother, when I look at her, she wasn't maternal. She shouldn't have had children. But back in the 60s, you know.
Yeah.
No, you absolutely had to. Whereas in this day and age, it's much more accepted, although it's still, the stigma's still there, but there are so many more options that women have. And I think the other point for me too is that I think a lot of women have careers and they think they have to make a choice, whether it be in business or in corporate. I didn't have that. I was just doing a job just to pay the bills. I think women think they can have one or the other. That's not true either. You can have both. Absolutely. You can be successful in both. I didn't have the career, so I felt like that was what my career was supposed to be. I think that was the point why I felt like a failure, is because I don't have the career, so I'm not a mother. Well, there's nothing. But there always is, and I think that's another point for any woman that's in that situation. It's just that we've got to uncover what your purpose and passion is in life. But you certainly don't have to make a choice between career and business and being a mother.
I totally agree. You can do both, and I know plenty of women have done both. And I think what needs to change is you have to have a realistic expectation of what it's going to look like, because it's not going to be perfect, and there'll be sacrifices on either side of that. I think that's a big key to it, is they think, but I have to do everything perfectly and so forth. And again, that's so much of that is mindset, because they perceive a life to be a certain way, which obviously we know in reality is very different. And then, when that doesn't look like it's supposed to look like, then they struggle with all that. So I think, as you said, mindset is such a big part of this whole conversation, and it's a really important part. So thank you.
You are very welcome. It's my passion in life and my mission. My passion is... But my mission in life is to inspire, support and motivate as many women as possible, because there's just too many old Janes out there.
Yeah.
Whether it be through not achieving being a mother, or the depression aspect. There are just so many women out there who are suffering in silence, as I did. And it breaks my heart. So whatever I can do to share my journey and support people is what I'm all about.
Thank you so much for your time and having this
You're welcome, Tanya.
Raw and honest conversation, because I think so many people will benefit from hearing your story and knowing what you've gone through, because it is a very unique situation. And oh my God, girl, good on you.
Thank you.
For just being, for coming through this and finding something else that you're passionate about, and now giving back to the people around you and the people that need that support. I just think your whole story is very inspirational. I think a lot of women should look at you and just be like, I want to be like that one day.
Thank you.
It is. You've gone through a hell of a lot, and but you come out the other side, and you're obviously, I can tell that you're happy and you're passionate, because it comes through. The way you talk about your story, and I think that's amazing. So I thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Tanya. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And we'll definitely chat again at some stage in the future, and please stay connected to us. And obviously I'll send you through a copy of this once it's all done and sorted. But I do appreciate, and I love talking to women and hearing their stories, because I always get so much back from it myself, and it really makes me appreciate everything that I have as well. So,
and if there's anything... You're welcome. Is there anything I can do to support you and your mission, please let me know.
Thank you. Thank
share
you
it
so
with my audience.
Let's
You're welcome,
definitely stay
Tanya.
connected. Thanks,
Yep, thank
Jane.
you.
I know you're off. You have it. Get up super early, so you're off to bed very soon. So
I am. Yeah, I'm a nana. I love my sleep.
all good. All good. Talk to you soon.
Bye, Tanya.
Thank you.
Bye.